It is now, it is time. They already started boarding now for our plane from Shenyang in China to Pyongyang in North Korea. And this is the view that meets us at the top. That is fucking incredible though. Can't believe you're actually allowed to be here. Yesterday we crossed the border from North Korea back into China, and I'm sitting in my hotel room in Dandong in China now. And actually, if you see here to the right over there, that's North Korea and this is China. And already here you can see a difference in the amount of construction, the amount of apartments that there is between the countries. After having been to North Korea for the past 6 days and having some experiences that was beyond my wildest expectation, and the visit has undoubtedly been one of the most incredible and most unforgettable experiences of my life. I feel like before I go into these videos that I made from the trip, that it's necessary to talk a bit about the why. A bit about why I decided to go to North Korea. I'm sure a lot of people, at least some people, would think it's wrong to visit a country like this. But I'm making this kind of segment before diving into the video from the first day to kind of talk a bit about the different nuances, because I think there's more to the story. I know that North Korea is a country that has a bad regime, but as I see it, there are two ways to approach a country that is as isolated and as closed down as North Korea is. One is to just let them sail in their own lake, as we would say in Danish. Let them be to themselves and figure out their own problems. The other solution, in my opinion, is to open up in a dialogue and communicate and do some exchange of cultures and open up this dialogue about the country and about the West. And in my opinion, I don't see any reason in doing choice number one, because that will not solve the problems in the country. But if you engage in the dialogue and meet with the many, many people, there are 25 million people living in this huge country. And although that we have experienced, you cannot wander around by yourself and you are with guides, you cannot take pictures of something in the country. These are still people that have normal lives, and they go about doing their daily chores, daily work, and they study. And especially at a trip like this, where we're biking around the country and actually pushing the boundaries of what has previously been possible for foreigners to do in North Korea, I think that is really opening up the country, because we were able to go out in the countryside and actually step foot on the ground and see how the real North Korea is, that is not just Pyongyang. As you will also maybe see in the video, it's not something that we have been allowed to document as much, the countryside. That is just because North Korea, they want to portray North Korea to the rest of the world as not being a developing country. I know that they probably didn't lead us through the least resourceful areas, that this was probably the more functioning areas of the country that we saw. But still, these are regular people with regular lives, working in the fields. And I hope that these videos can kind of open up and maybe talk about that there's always more to something like this than what we can show in the Western media, because our guides were also happy to talk about different kind of issues. And of course they are biased. Of course sometimes you hear some crazy things and you just have to have a filter on that, but they were very happy to talk about the political situation and imprisonment and what they want for their country. And that was really interesting to hear, because then you have the Western opinion and then you have the North Korean opinion, and then you can make up your own instead of just taking one side and make that be the reality of the situation. So yeah, that was just something I thought was necessary to share before we go into these videos. This is only a snapshot into what we experienced, of course, and I'm not an expert in this country by any means. I can just say that it was an incredible experience, and especially the cycling, as you'll also see, was out of this world, to be honest. I hope that these videos are going to be interesting, and it's a great little look into a country that not a lot of people get a look into. So yeah, enjoy. It is now, it is time. That's just crazy, absolutely crazy. We stayed the night in this city called Shenyang, and it's just so typical for China that it's a city that you've never heard of, but there lives 9 million people. Like, it's a huge city, bigger than most European cities even. Very surreal. Now it's time, we're going to North Korea, and I think we're even flying with the infamous Kryo Airlines, which I think is the world's only one-star airline. So they are legendary for their burger on board. I don't know if we can get that or if it's only on first class. Of course, we're not flying on that. And luckily we all got visa for North Korea. This is it here. Instead of getting like a stamp in your passport, you just get this that you give to the staff when you arrive in North Korea, and then you won't see it again, which is kind of a shame because it's quite a good memory. This is how it looks, and I think I even have a North Korean name. I don't know what it is because I obviously don't know any Korean or North Korean. So, but they started boarding now with quite a few people going. Actually, it's quite a surprise. Catch you in North Korea. We have arrived in North Korea now.
Not exact words, but she was like, that's why we're here.
Okay.
We have arrived in Pyongyang, and I don't know if it's hard or difficult to see at all because it's dark. We're here at Kim Il-sung Square, which is the central plaza in Pyongyang, and it's actually a place where tourists not normally allowed to go during the night, so it's quite special. And we're also just the only ones here. Our guides, they picked us up at the airport, and they seem super nice, and they're just like, don't worry too much about the regulations about the camera. First impression is that it's way more modern than I thought. Like, there's people all over the place in big modern buildings. This is a group over here just having a chat, and we're just standing around. We're the only ones. So cool. Yeah. It's 7:45. We just checked in, and in 15 minutes we're going to go for dinner, and that's about it for the program today. Tomorrow is going to be a whole day of like going around the city of Pyongyang. We're not gonna cycle tomorrow, unfortunately, either, because it's a holiday here in North Korea. We're not allowed to do that because there's gonna be so many people celebrating. I don't know, we'll see. That was about the first day here in North Korea, full of excitement. Pretty crazy to be here, and everything looks so nice on the surface, but of course you also know that it isn't like that per se. But it's very interesting to be here, and I'm very surprised about the architecture and the infrastructure of everything. It's much more fancy than I thought it would be. So I'm just gonna call it a night here, I think, and say see you tomorrow. I don't know, there's not much cycling in these videos, these 2 first days here, but I hope it's okay and still get a good impression of how it is to be here in North Korea. And you think that's interesting as well. So we'll see. Yeah, tomorrow's gonna be a big day, a good long day. Hopefully more is gonna happen than what happened today, because most of it was just travels and I wasn't allowed to film anything on the plane. Yeah, see you tomorrow.